What does the Indian farmer really want? Is there a north-south divide? Why is the anger more in Punjab and Haryana than any other part of the country? Are the farmers' fears valid or are they unfounded? These are just some of the questions I'm going to raise today. I'm joined by VM Singh. He's one of the conveners, All India Kisan Sangharsh Coordination Committee. He comes from Uttar Pradesh. P. Chengal Reddy, Chief Advisor, Consortium of Indian Farmers. He is from Andhra Pradesh. Vijay Jawandia is founder, member of the Shetkari Sangatna from Maharashtra. And Ravi Singh is founder, Khalsa Aid. He is from London and he is one of the overseas groups who's supporting the farmers in Punjab. Thank you all very much for joining me. Let me come to you, Mr. Singh, first, because VM Singh, you are on the ground and you and your group are part of this wide conglomeration of farmers that are supporting the Punjab and Haryana farmers. You didn't attend the meeting today, but do you believe that the farmers, what do the farmers really want? If the government is willing to reach out to them and saying, let's have a panel to discuss the laws, why are the farmers continuing to still oppose it, Mr. VM Singh?
The call for 26th and 27th coming to Delhi was from All India Kisan Sangharsh Coordination Committee, and the Punjab farmers picked it up on 27th of October when they came to the Tabgan to talk to us. We made a morcha that day. Okay, now the point, this is one point. The second aspect of such is, why is the government trying to divide the farmers by making it Punjab, now Punjab and Haryana? If it's an all India call, why not Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, etc., etc.? Does it make a difference? And I want to ask you one thing, Rajdeep. What are we waiting for Christmas? I mean, what nonsense is this?
We'll have talks one day, talks the next day, talks after 10 days. What are you doing for 20 days? When you knew all this was going to happen, why don't you make up your mind?
No, but my question to you is, why are the farmers not willing to meet the government halfway? The government is saying we are now ready to have a panel to discuss the farm laws with you. Why is it that the farm groups are saying either you roll back the laws or nothing? How do you then negotiate?
You see, the thing is very simple. Whether there are 5 people or 7 people, it is for the people who are called. Akhil Bharatiya Kisan Sangharsh Samanvay Samiti was not even called. We were not even called. I have a thing there very easily, that very clearly, that you are trying to divide the nation and divide the agitation. Today, why can't you have a committee of 5 people, 1 person from every organization that is involved? Why can't you have it? You only want to have these people, 35 people from Punjab or 32 people from Punjab. They won't get together on this issue. It's difficult to have 5 people. And why can't you have 5 people amongst the country if you like? Okay, don't have. It's a very simple thing, whether you want to give us the MSP or not. What will the 5 people do? What will the 500 people do? It's for the government to take a call here. And the call is very simple. Is MSP going to be a guarantee? Because MSP is one thing which comes out from our production cost.
You are saying that what is non-negotiable is the inclusion of a minimum support price in the new law. Am I clear?
Right. A guarantee that nobody will buy under the minimum support price. If anyone buys that, he will go to jail. This was the private member bill that we had pushed in the parliament 2 years ago, a MSP guarantee bill. This is not negotiable.
Okay, so you're saying that as far as the farmers who are agitating, that aspect is non-negotiable, inclusion of
Absolutely.
MSP in the bill itself. Am I correct again? I just want to get complete clarity from you. All other issues are negotiable?
Rajdeep,
whether it's contract farming,
Rajdeep,
whether it is the issue of Essential Commodities Act changes, all of that is negotiable. Am I correct?
It's not something such a big thing as such. When you talk about contract farming, if they mention there that if there's a contract farming, the minimum support price must be the rate that has to be entered. Then they say in Section 5, a guaranteed price. A guaranteed price is going to be
the minimum support price.
Okay.
If they're right there.
And then they say the SDM's order will be equivalent to a decree of the court. Nowhere in the world you can have an order like this. And they've done it. If you can do this, you can also guarantee and legislate a MSP for us.
Okay.
If you can do all this for the corporates, why can't you do this?
Okay, your point is taken. You're saying Your basic negotiating point is inclusion of MSP, a minimum support price, in the law itself. P. Chengal Reddy, you have a differing viewpoint on that. Do you believe it is feasible for any government to guarantee a minimum support price in the law?
Well, see, the particular problem is government has been announcing MSP for last 30-40 years for around 25 crops. And what were they purchasing? Wheat and rice. That also in Punjab, Andhra Pradesh and Haryana to some extent. Now today suddenly you come out with a bill saying MSP for what? We have produced 300 million tons of vegetables, fruits and other things. Do you think you can have a MSP for mangoes, bananas? I mean, do you want pulses, oil seeds, coffee, tea and everything? What, see, look, you see the whole, as far as our organization, we from South, when we started this 3 months back, we were very sympathetic with Punjab and Haryana farmers only on one issue. That is this MSP, and then there may be some problem, mandis and all that. Therefore, we were very sympathetic. We wrote to government that this issue should be negotiated and discussed. Now, suddenly, I find that instead of this MSP discussion, everybody is talking about Kala bills. What Kala bills? I don't understand. How could you say that removing Essential Commodities Act, anything to do with farmers? अरे हमें क्या करना भाई? Essential commodities वो व्यापारियों का है. अच्छा, land lease and other things, it is purely local. I'm a local farmer. I may take lease on 10-15 years to grow some banana or citrus and other things. I will have an agreement with my villagers and I will invest for 10-15 years. And this is a simple tenancy and contract act. What has this got to do with the national farmers and even APMC? I don't, as far as I see now, the committees will continue. All the market shares are continuing. Andhra, Telangana committees are continuing. They are procuring. I will ask a simple thing myself. When Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister and Telangana Chief Ministers are able to totally procure rice and wheat, why is that this Punjab, Haryana Chief Ministers are not able to procure total rice and wheat to give it to FCI?
No, 1 minute. Let's be very clear, Chengal Reddy. A majority of the rice and wheat that is procured in the country by FCI is procured from Punjab and Haryana. More than 80% of the rice and wheat last year was procured from Punjab and Haryana. So, are we saying that the wheat and rice farmers' interests are very different from farmers who are in cash crops in states like yours?
So the first thing you have to do now, government has to do is separate. First you discuss about the so-called MSP issue raised by Punjab and Haryana farmers, have a detailed discussion and come to some agreement, because it's a state responsibility. But our chief ministers are taking the entire responsibility of procurement. Why there is no procurement problem in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh? Why is that this Punjab chief minister is not effectively able to procure? That they should ask the Punjab chief minister. No, my submission is very simple. MSP should, no,
you are shifting the goalpost.
No. MSP is related to Punjab, Haryana. There is some problem. You have your mandis, brokers, agents. We don't want to go into that. MSP only for wheat and rice across the country. Other states are doing very well. Chhattisgarh giving some bonus also.
So should each state now make a commitment? Can this be done at the state level? Can each state make a commitment rather than a central law on MSP?
वही बोल रहा हूँ ना, you अलग कर दो. You have nothing to do with reforms. We want reforms. Who said that reforms are not welcome? What is this? If tomorrow essential commodities is removed, somebody can come and purchase from me. He can directly purchase from me and export. Somebody can go to any part of the country, purchase and process it. Look at simplest thing I'll tell you. These Coca-Cola people are coming to a place, godforsaken place in Andhra called Chittoor, and they purchase all the entire mango for pulp. The whole country drinks Maaza, and they also export Maaza. And there is, that is being now legalized. Earlier it was an understanding, now it is legalized. You produce 20 million tons of banana, millions and millions tons of pulses, oil seeds, chilies, turmeric.
Why are we talking all this? I don't understand.
No, one minute, one by one. Chengal Reddy, you made a very good point. We have to quickly respond. The fact is that cash crop farmers stand to benefit from some of these new farm laws. Let's be very clear. The interests of wheat and rice farmers in terms of procurement and MSP may be genuine, but let's make that distinction.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, Rajdeep.
all the while, he was changing the goalposts all the while. Okay, now just tell me, we get back to the bills as you said, okay, fine, just about the contract farming. Let's take the contract farming here. Contract farming, we have seen in Uttar Pradesh cash crop, as we call it, sugarcane. Sugarcane is a cash crop. We are into contract farming for the last 67, 68 years. And there's a bond there, there's a contract to be signed every time that you will get your sugarcane money in 14 days. It's taken 14 months, and yet people have not got it for last year. What are we talking about? This is nothing new. We talk about one nation, one market. You talk about one nation, one market. He talks about things coming from here and there, talks about Maza and all right now. Onions have been coming from Nashik for the last 60, 70 years into North India. Why? If there were hurdles, how could you get them? You couldn't. These are all things which are just like that. Let's talk about the bills and say we don't need the bills, because another thing when he talks about the hoarding.
No, there are aspects of the new farm laws which may be welcomed by certain farmers. There are farmers who are welcoming it. Let's be very clear. It's not as if one size fits all. Accept that.
Rajdeep, I had sent a message through one of your colleagues to you. Please do one thing, have a round table one day with some farm leaders like Mr. Chengal Reddy, who are farm leaders in the south, as he says, who stays in Delhi very well. He knows better than me very well. My thing is, let's talk about the farm bills one by one, clause by clause. Let's spend a day. Let's take a thing and have a chapal in one of the villages anywhere in UP. You're more than welcome. And let's have a round table there and talk clause by clause.
Okay.
Where is the problem?
Okay,
Where is the problem today? And I even challenge Mr. Modi, you and your government, 6 people come on one side, 6 people come on this side. We are the same people. When you lose in the Supreme Court, when you and the state governments lose in the Supreme Court, the farmers go into Supreme Court and win their cases and have got more than 50, 60,000 crores. So definitely the interpretation of law, we also know the law. Interpretation of law is not your prerogative alone.
Okay,
if you know the law, we can challenge you on that account.
Okay, I just want to get a sense why, in a way, this is not a pan-India movement in a sense at the moment, because Vijay Jawandia, your founder member of the Shetkari Sangatna, founded by Sharad Joshi, who in a sense was one of the first Kisan Netas to talk about integrating the farmer with the market. And I want to understand from you, do you believe the new farm laws are anti-farmer?
Rajdeep, first thank you for allowing me to say my Mann Ki Baat on your channel. And actually, I left Sharad Joshi in 1993 when he supported free market. I asked him one question only: show me one country on a globe where farmers is depending on market price only. Nowhere in the world the farmer is depending on market price. In USA, in Europe, even in the left China also, they are depending on the treasury of the government. So talking about market is not correct. Actually, what farmer wants only one thing, which Narendra Modi ji, our honorable Prime Minister, promised during the 2014 election, that if I come to power, I will give you Swaminathan Commission's prices, cost plus 50%. That exactly farmers want. If Modi ji is confident that that can be available out of APMC, we have no objection. Then why Modi ji and that government is hesitating in making it law, making it statutory, as FRP of sugarcane is a statutory. So why not all this to be? My humble submission is this, that farmer wants a equal standard of living which other people are getting in this our economy. And I think this problem
how does the new farm
has increased since 1991.
If I am let us say I am a grape farmer in Maharashtra, or I am an onion farmer in Maharashtra, how does the new law affect me?
Yes, you are an onion farmer in Maharashtra. The government says that we have removed Essential Commodity Act, we have removed onion from that, and as soon as onion prices went up, they stopped export of onion and they started import of onion. The same thing with pulses. The pulses prices goes up, the import duty on masoor is reduced by 20%, the 4 lakh tons of pulses are to be imported, licenses are given by 31st December, the edible oil import duty is reduced by 10%. How can we trust Modi ji? It is really a big word in a small person's mouth, but it is really not trustworthy.
Okay,
So how can we trust this government?
You make an important point about the trust
Absolutely.
deficit, which is at the heart of it. 1 minute, 1 minute. And we'll get everyone's voices in. I want to come to you, Ravi Singh, there. You are in London. And I want to understand from you, because you are among those who is supporting the farmers of Punjab. A lot of NRI groups, a lot of groups from outside Punjab, Ravi Singh ji, are supporting Sikh farmers in Punjab. What is the motivation? Why do you believe that this is a movement that deserves its support at this moment?
First of all, it's not just Sikhs, it's Punjabis, which are mixed of different faiths. It's Punjabi farmers at the moment. I mean, let's not go into sectarianism like we did in the 80s. We need to be very clear. The media, some of the media, Indian media, have played a disgraceful card, calling the farmers separatists, Khalistanis, Atwadis, terrorists. It's disgraceful. For me, sitting in London, I work around the world in refugee camps. I work in war zones. I work in the borders of Syria, Iraq, Lebanon. And I cannot believe the amount of effort the government put in to stop the farmers destroying their own roads to go to a peaceful, lawful protest. So for me, Punjab has always suffered. Punjab has always been in the forefront of changes. Punjab has also faced the emergency, a legal emergency under Indira Gandhi. So we've always stood up for the people of India. Now, one point I'd like to make, you know, if you look at the army, it's sons of Punjab, the sons of these farmers. If you talk to these farmers, most of them have been in the army. Most of their sons would be in the army. How many sons of these politicians are fighting on the border? To call the Punjabi farmers terrorists, Atwadi, Vakwadi, is a disgrace. Why don't they have a lawful voice? We believe in democracy, lawfulness. Why cannot the Indian government let them go on their lawful means to protest peacefully instead of treating them like
is that what has struck a chord for Punjabis across the world? The fact that you believe that the farmers have not been allowed to protest, in your view, in a manner that is democratic? Is that what you're suggesting?
What struck a chord is watching elderly farmers being water cannoned in winter with freezing water. They've been attacked like an invading army. They've been treated like second-class citizens. That, for me, is a huge point. For a Punjabi sitting outside, I find that very disgraceful. On top of that, like I said, some of the media, Indian media, has played a very, very bad, very horrible sectarian card.
Okay.
Now the Biharis arrive, people from UP, the farmers from Rajasthan arriving. Are they all Khalistanis?
Okay, you make a point in a sense to try and dispel this insidious campaign that has been run in some way that the farmers are separatists. I want to come back to you, Chengal Reddy, because, you know, the attempt here is to get a range of voices. You have for years been talking of liberalizing agriculture. Now the Prime Minister and his aides say we are opening up agriculture. We're actually giving the farmer the right. If he wants to sell his produce in the mandi, he can do so. If he wants to sell it outside to a private producer, he can do so. We are creating an enabling environment through these laws. Do you believe it's as simple as that? Is the farmer really in a position to negotiate with some of these private producers, especially the small and marginal farmers?
In 1990, when reforms have come, liberalization has come into service and industrial sectors, the same voice was raised that small hotels will be taken over, cars will be taken over, industries will be taken over, MNCs will come, rich people will come, blah, 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 blah. Now, what is that has happened in service and industrial sectors? You see today, you have a super bazaar, you have also a a small shop running side by side. You have a 5-star hotel and a tea stall. You have a car costing 60 lakhs and a car costing 4 lakhs. The question is,
how do I protect that small farmer bird? How do I protect the small farmer?
We don't need your protection. Nobody, we do farmers who don't need your protection. Please understand, in the last 35 years, you have not protected us from your Adityas, from the administrative corruption and the political people's exploitation. In all these 70, 80 years, nobody has protected us. Look at what has happened. You are again talking of this so-called 1990. Why reforms have not come into agriculture? Well, by 2007, Mr. Swaminathan came. Why is that gentleman, this party, Prime Minister, this Manmohan Singh or Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, all these Congress people did not support, did agitation for implementation of Swaminathan report? And all those agitating today for against reforms, they are for reforms in 2007 onwards. The same now Swaminathan report gave cost plus MSP, and that was by Mr. Modi, and now it has come into reform. Now I don't know why everybody is saying. You see, look, as far as most of us concerned, South here and there, apart from those who are negotiating there with Government of India, as far as we are concerned, one thing is clear. The only and main issue today before the Punjab is about the MSP. Even that MSP, yes, you can negotiate with the state government or come to an understanding and resolve it. We have no problem in our states, rest of the country. And second thing is, as far as the reforms are concerned, I don't think it is reasonable for everybody to raise that reforms are this and that. What nonsense!
So therefore, is one possible.
So-called people connected with the political system, the so-called people supporting. What have you got to do with the Essential Commodities Act liberalization?
That's a good point. VM saying, what have you got? Look, an essential removing some of the, some of the restrictions that the Essential Commodities Act put up in terms of, the limits that were put on stocks that you could sort of sell in the market only benefited the trader. The trader benefited at the end of the day from shortages. The farmer doesn't. When you say repeal all the 3 laws, this is a Kala Kanun. Isn't it time to be a little more specific and look at specific areas rather than just say that all the laws are terrible?
Firstly, we must know, Rajdeep, that 70% of the consumers are farmers. Let's have it very clear. Essential Commodities Act, when you struck off subsection 7 of section 3, and you can have hoarding now. Anyone can hoard as much as he likes if he's a SBO. SBO under these laws get the same powers of that of a kisan or a farmer, and in that case what happens as such is SBOs can create shortage, they can hoard first, create shortage, and the rates go up. It not only affects the farmers, but also the consumers, including you and me and everybody else.
But the act and the new laws try and prevent that from happening, or that's at least the government's intention.
No, please, no. That's what I said. Let's sit across the table and show you where it is. I tell you, in one informal meeting with the Agriculture Minister, Mr. Tomar, he was across me. I said, you've been going about town and telling everybody. I'm drifting right now from your point, go. I said, you are telling everybody that once these laws come in, if there is a calamity, the farmer will not suffer. I said, take these laws, show me where it's written. He could not show it to me. Likewise, I say, if you are sitting across, I tell you how a consumer, how an ordinary person, a farmer, is also going to suffer by the amendment. And secondly, when you take away the amendment, when you have the amendment, then what happens as such is that they are not essential commodities and neither onion, nor pulses, nor wheat, nor paddy, etc., etc. If they are not essential commodities, you cannot give under PDS. If you don't give under PDS, then comes the thing of MSP again. It's wheel within wheel. The only factor when the Prime Minister says that, okay, I am giving you assurance, the point of such is, Mr. Prime Minister, we don't need your assurance because we don't believe in you. I tell you why. You came to Uttar Pradesh for the election in 2017 and said, in 14 days, I'll ensure that you get your sugarcane dues or you get your interest. We've got neither. You said, I'm going to ensure that everyone's debt is going to be clean. It never happened.
Okay.
You said, I'll give you C2 plus 50%. Then you gave an affidavit in Supreme Court saying, I can't give it. So, Mr. Prime Minister, we can't appreciate this. And Mr. Home Minister also now. He said, people who are sitting in Burari, I will call them. Today you come here, there are 2,500 leaders from Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh sitting in Burari today. I'm one of them, I'm sitting here also right now. Each one is a leader can call 100 people, 1,000 people. And he has gone back on his call. He has not called any of us. We are sitting in Burari.
Okay,
and people are going about town and saying,
we
don't trust you now.
Okay, you don't trust. There's a trust factor. Vijay Jawandia, you also don't trust this government? If you don't trust the government, then you can't even have negotiations.
Yeah, no. The question is not of negotiations. We are ready for negotiations, and without negotiations, problem cannot be solved. But comparing this reform with 91 is not very correct. I think Ashok Gulati also on your channel, he says this is comparison with that reforms. But the delicensing successful in this country, not because of delicensing only. All these multinational companies came here and produced. They got a parallel economy supported by 5th pay, 6th pay, 7th pay commission hike. That is why the service sector contribution in GDP is 60%. And another, take loan and buy car, take loan, buy fridge, take loan, buy micro oven, take loan, buy scooter. Just remove this one of giving loan and buying. Just see what will happen to this industry. Rajdeep, very humbly I support Indian farmer cannot live on market mechanism because what you and I eat, 75% of that is not available to 75% population of this country. There is hunger.
No, what is your fear, Mr. Zawandia? What is your fear? What is your fear from these laws?
And that is why support is necessary.
Vijayji, what is your fear? I want to understand what is the fear that you have about this law.
I am having a fear that Modi ji wants to go away from the responsibility of giving 50% profit or cost or supported by subsidies. Actually, the question is of subsidies, and saying this, that Indian farmer cannot be given subsidies as USA or European farmers are given. I can't understand when 1 crore government employees of central government can get 1 lakh crore provision in the budget. Why can't the crore annadatas can get crore?
So you believe that farmers need protection. You believe, like across the world, you cannot have farmers being completely opened up and exposed to market forces. A final word from you, Ravi Singh. Will you all continue to provide financial support to the Punjab farmers? Do you believe that this is an issue where you will, is it just financial support you're providing, or is it more emotional support?
I say, and with the Sikhs, the Punjabis, the Haryanas, we say, whoever wants to come and protest, could be from UP, Rajasthan, you will not go hungry. Langar will be served throughout the protest. We guarantee that. We don't put financial support. We could make sure that nobody goes hungry. We got sanitation. We got plans for medical aid for the farmers. No farmer at the protest will go hungry, because that's what Punjabis are. We got big hearts, open hearts. And the Langar Council of Sikhi will make sure that the farmers from all over the country can come without worrying about food. They will go back, actually eat bigger when they came back.
Okay, let's leave it there. I appreciate a variety of voices joining us, and we will continue to get farm leaders from across the country in the days ahead. Perhaps they are more in touch with the ground realities than some of our netas, and that's why they perhaps make a lot more sense at times. Thank you very much for joining us here on the show today.